Hello, welcome to today's video. I want to talk about the cybersecurity aspect of a Windows server, and I'll be focusing on network ports, services, the firewall, and task scheduling. I also will be demonstrating how to use a task scheduler to schedule attacks and automate processes within the system. First of all, we need to understand what a network port is. Now, a network port is a communication endpoint used by computers to send and receive data. So see it like a door that allows network traffic to enter or leave the system. Each port in the cyber world has its own unique number, and that number is used to identify the particular port. While a service, on the other hand, is a program that runs in the background and uses a network port to communicate. In other words, ports are like doors, and services are the ones using those doors to send and receive data. Now, let's take a look at the network connections on this system. To do that, I'm going to open the command prompt. Some people prefer using PowerShell, and I also enjoy using PowerShell. But for this demonstration, I will be using the command prompt. I'm going to use a command called netstats. This command displays active network connections on the system and is very useful for network analysis and troubleshooting. It's a useful tool that helps ensure that you are on the safe side. From the result here, we can see the different types of connections and the various port numbers being used. In contrast, some ports are used more permanently because certain services are required regularly. These are what we refer to as well-known ports. For example, we have port 80, commonly used for HTTP traffic, and port 443, commonly used for HTTPS traffic, which provides secure communication over the internet. So here you can see that the state is listed as listening. These are active ports numbers waiting for incoming connections. On this side, you can see the port numbers, and the protocols being used is TCP. Now, TCP operates at the transport layer of the OSI model. For those of you who are familiar with that, it is a connection-oriented protocol, which means that it ensures reliable communication between devices. It provides error checking, data sequencing, and flow control just to make sure that data is delivered completely and in the correct order. In simple terms, TCP is used when you want accuracy and reliability in data transmission. If you want your data to arrive without loss or corruption, TCP is the right protocol to use. Now, I want to quickly analyze two important port numbers, port 80 and port 443. Port 80 is used for HTTP traffic, which means that it is used for unsecure websites, while port 443 is used for HTTPS traffic, which represents secure websites. I'm going to use my browser to show a common mistake people make regarding HTTP and HTTPS. I will open a website called NeverSSL, which uses HTTP instead of HTTPS. Notice the not secure warning in the browser. With HTTP, which uses port 80, information is sent without encryption. Now, this means that if an attacker intercepts the traffic through a man-in-the-middle attack, they could potentially see everything you type, including your username and password. That's why browsers such as Chrome, Firefox, and others display warnings to let you know that the website is not secure. Now, let's visit the secure website. I'll search for BYU Pathway and open the sign-in page. Notice that there is no not secure warning. That's because this website uses HTTPS, which is the standard for secure web browsing. However, HTTPS does not guarantee that you can never be hacked. This is where so many people get it wrong, or because you're using HTTP and it shows secure and you feel like, oh yeah, I am not going to be hacked. No. In cybersecurity, there is no 100% guarantee that your system is protected. Next, let's talk about services running on this Windows server. Earlier, we discussed ports, and now we are looking at services. I'll press Command+R and type services.msc. This opens the services window where we can see the service name, description, status, and startup types. These services are running in the background, and each one performs a specific task. I will focus on two common services: remote desktop services and DNS clients. First, we have remote desktop services. This service uses port 3389 and allows users to connect to a managed computer remotely over a network. Now, a good example is this Windows server I'm using right now. It's running on AWS console. Another example is when you contact IT support. The technician could be in the US or some other country to access your computer remotely and troubleshoot issues. That's possible through Remote Desktop Protocol or RDP, which uses port 3389. Next, we have the DNS client. Its job is to translate domain names into IP addresses. Now, for example, when you type google.com into your browser, the computer doesn't use the name directly. It communicates using IP addresses. DNS converts the easy to remember name google.com into the corresponding IP address so your request can reach Google server. Now, the next part of this video is about the Windows Defender Firewall. This is one of the most effective places where you can secure your computer because it allows you to intentionally permit or block network traffic. You can decide to allow traffic into your computer or you can choose to block it. This can be done through the Windows Defender Firewall. I'm going to open the Start menu and search for Windows Defender Firewall. Okay, here is it. I will open it. There are several options here, such as allow an app or feature through Windows Defender Firewall, change notification settings, and turn Windows Defender Firewall on or off. In this case, the firewall is already enabled for all network profiles, domain, private, and guest or public networks. You can tell that the firewall is enabled because each profile shows on. If it were disabled, you would see off displayed for those profiles. Now, where can I create inbound or outbound rules? Suppose I want to configure my computer to allow traffic through a specific port. For example, port 50,000. Yeah, it's very possible to have port 50,000. Of course, we have about 65,536 ports starting from 0. So I can create an inbound rule to allow incoming traffic on that port. And I can also create an outbound rule to allow traffic leaving the computer through that port. Inbound traffic refers to data coming into your computer, while outbound traffic refers to data leaving your computer. To find that page, I'm going to click Advanced Settings. Okay, this is it. I'm going to select Inbound Rules and then click New Rule. The type of rule I want to create is a port rule. So I'm going to select ports and click Next. Earlier, I talked about TCP and UDP. In this case, I'm going to select TCP and then I will enter the port number, which is 50,000. Then click Next. The Allow the Connection option is already selected. If you choose Block the Connection, the firewall will deny traffic on that port. Blocking a connection can also be useful. If you later decide that the port is no longer needed, you can simply come back and block it. I'll click Next and leave all the network profiles checked: domain, private, and public. Then I'll click the Next button again. I'm going to give this rule a descriptive name, such as allow port 50,000 TCP inbound, and click Finish. As you can see, we have successfully created an inbound rule inside the Windows Defender Firewall. What we have done is tell the firewall that whenever traffic arrives through TCP port 50,000, it should allow that traffic. You can also see many other rules here. Most of them were created automatically by Microsoft or installed applications. However, you can manually create your own rules whenever necessary. Take note, it is always important to create only the rules you need and only when you know they are safe. As you can see, this inbound rule is now active. Therefore, traffic coming into this computer through TCP port 50,000 will be allowed. Now let's do the same thing for the outbound rule because we want traffic not only to come into the computer but also to leave the computer. I'll select Outbound Rules, click New Rule, choose ports and then click Next. I will enter port 50,000 and click Next. At first, I was surprised to see such a high port number. but I remembered that computers have a total of 65,536 ports, numbered from 0 to 65,535. Therefore, port 50,000 is perfectly valid. I'll select Allow the connection, click Next, leave all the profiles checked, and click Next again. This time, I will name the rule Allow port 50,000 TCP outbound so that I can easily identify what the rule is used for. It is always a good practice to use names that are short, descriptive, and easy to understand. So, to summarize, we have added a firewall rule that allows traffic to come into the computer through TCP port 50,000, and we have also created a rule that allows traffic to leave the computer through the same ports. Keep in mind that you are not limited to port 50,000. As long as the port number falls within the valid range of 0 to 65,535, you can create rules for other ports as well. For example, you can create rules for port 80, port 443, and many others depending on your needs. Now, the last thing I want to do is to create a scheduled task to automate an action on this server. A scheduled task allows the system to run programs or scripts automatically at a specified time. In this case, I will create one that uses PowerShell to log the current date every day. So I'm going to open the task scheduler. Next, I'm going to click Create Basic Tasks. I'm going to name it Daily Date Logger and then click Next. I want this task to run daily at a scheduled time. So I'm going to leave the daily option selected and click Next. I'm going to configure it to start running tomorrow, and I want it to run every day at 12 a.m. Once that is done, I'll click Next. For the action, I'm going to select Start a Program and click Next. Under Program/Script, I'm going to enter PowerShell.exe, and then I'm going to specify the argument required for the PowerShell command. After that, I'm going to click Next and then Finish. This task uses PowerShell to record the current date into a text file automatically. PowerShell is a very powerful tool in Windows Server because it allows administrators to automate tasks and simplify system management. Now, instead of manually performing the same tasks every day, I can configure Task Scheduler to do it automatically for me. I can create daily tasks, weekly tasks, or other recurring tasks depending on my requirements. Now, let me quickly verify that the task is working correctly. I will open the Task Scheduler library where I can see the tasks I created today. It is configured to run every day at 12 a.m. To test it immediately, I'm going to right-click the task and select Run. As you can see, the task has executed successfully. I am running it manually to demonstrate how it works on demand. To view the results, I'm going to open my File Explorer, then go to this PC, open the C drive, and locate the task file named date.log. Here it is. You can see that a date has already been recorded, although the task is scheduled to run automatically every day at 12 a.m. I manually executed it just now for testing purposes, which is why the file already contains an entry. This is a very simple example of automating actions on a system. Scheduled tasks allows administrators to run programs, scripts, and maintenance operations without manual intervention. In other words, they make system administration easier and more efficient. Automating repetitive tasks is an important skill for network and system administrators. At the same time, tasks must be configured carefully because incorrect configuration can affect the security and stability of the system. To summarize what we've done today, we've examined the network statistics of the computer and discussed some common use ports, including port 80 and port 443. We also explored Windows Defender Firewall, created inbound and outbound rules, and finally used the task scheduler together with PowerShell to automate a task on the server. These are important skills that a network administrator needs to acquire. And in my next video, I will be designing a secure and organized IT environment for the Ensign Student Success Center. This is where I will bring together everything I have demonstrated throughout this series. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching Tech with More.